in adding visuals, still scans of drawings and paintings. The experiment is to see how little work I can do. I'm starting to get an idea of how complicated putting movies together is. Even a storyboard is difficult because I don't know how much verbal description I want to put on each graphic. Do I do them one at a time? And so, in other words, if it amounts to work, I want to try to eliminate it a bit. But that's my principle. Try to get something halfway decent without going to a huge amount of trouble. Sounds lazy, doesn't it? Well, it is. This is Naomi. She frequents the restaurant downstairs. Cartooning. I made a little bit of money from cartoons over the years, and this is pretty much my style for cartooning. The foreground, background, the smoke coming up from the flying saucer, the alien looking kind of dumbfounded, and the human being a smartass. We do have ovnis down here. They're UFOs in Spanish, objetos vuela sin identificar. So it's not a far-fetched thing. There's just as many sightings down here as there are anywhere else. There's sightings everywhere. I don't know what they are. I haven't identified them. When the little green men come up, I will greet them. This is related to flying through the air, but I can identify it. This is the terminal in Bogota. And there are no rats in the terminal. That's just something I made up. There are, however, people sleeping on the floor. People that got one of the low-priced airlines and are discovering why they're so low-priced. This was Avianca. They do a good job. If I was going to fly anymore, I'd do my best to fly with them. I used to fly economy. It's as cheap as possible. You know, if you got something in the wheel well, I'll try that. But anymore, I fly business class. You can work it so it's not too bad. And they really pamper you, which I don't really need, but better than nothing. The seat size is the important thing. And here's me in Atlanta after having gotten lost in the railroad system they have there when they were under construction last year, the year before that. Enormous airport, obviously. I've only been there through a couple of times. I think there's a run from Atlanta to Guayaquil, maybe one to Quito as well. But with any luck, I will avoid going through Atlanta or Bogota or anywhere else. You know, when I die, I want to be put in the ground. No, I want to be incinerated here. I want my ceniza, my ashes, to be put in the ground. Oh, we did a thing with the selection of the Pope last year or the year before. I keep saying last year, but there's another year gone by. The year before, no, it was last year, when they selected the Pope in Rome. We were going to have a pool, but we were blindsided because the guy from Chicago came in and grabbed all of the marbles. He came from nowhere, but he was, when people started talking about him, he was an obvious candidate because he checked all the boxes. He had worked as a parish priest in a poor area in northern Peru, only 200 miles from us here, and spoke a couple of languages and got along with everybody, and they figured he could cool the egos down. And this is from that effort. These are candidates for the papal office. I don't remember any names. It escapes me now. But they were up for the office until the color of the smoke changed. Let me see. If it's white, they've decided. If it's gray, they haven't. They must have figured that out a long time ago. Anyway, I don't think the new pope is any one of these guys. Pretty sure they aren't. Is it sinful to have a pool, $1 a head? Nobody won any money. They got their money back because the candidate that got it wasn't in the pool, so there was no chance of winning. I hope I don't have to answer to St. Peter over it. I'll say, I was just kidding. I follow the teachings of the founder of your church. I try to do unto others, etc., etc. Anyway, here's 5 more candidates. Some of these guys were really anxious for it. You could tell they were just, well, this is the big time. If they miss the big time, and the guy from Chicago is a lot younger, I think. What was he, 70, something like that? But it may be that he's going to really go the distance, and the other guys are just going to be also Rands. Like this guy in England, it's the king now. He had to wait forever to put that crown on. Wouldn't seem it was worth the trouble, especially with all the people. It's sort of like The Sopranos. He's got trouble with this one, took off for America, and this one got involved with Jeffrey Epstein, and everybody's got cancer. This gentleman is named Hedrick. He's a Swede. He lived here for maybe 10 or 12 years, had a heck of a time trying to make a living. Eventually he gave up on that and went back to Sweden. I guess he got a job right away up there. If you're willing to go up where it's cold, in Sweden where it's cold, you can probably get a job. His boy Gustavo is still here in Vilcabamba with his mother. And Gustavo, I haven't seen him lately, but when he was hanging out with his father, they'd come into the restaurant, and Hedrick would go talk to somebody, and Gustavo would sit down at my table, and I'd give him some paper and some pens and some markers, and we'd just be happy as clams in the clam flat, as they say up in Maine. Another person here in Vilcabamba, a gentleman named Neil from Ohio, USA. Yeah, Neil's got some adjusting to do here, but he's got a lot of support, and a lot of people have gotten to know him in the time he's been here, and he's doing okay. Saw him the other day, and I think he's coming along. It's a challenge for people when they come down here. The baggage that you put on the scale in the airport is the easy part. The baggage that you carry in your head and in your body sometimes with your physical condition, that's the really challenging part. You can come down here with nothing in your suitcase and be okay. Now this is the group with, right in front of the chiropractor's office. These vaguely reminiscent of the people that were there. I don't actually do portraits that look like the people I'm drawing, but it's the idea. And I don't know, do I need an artist's release for somebody that I was sketching, especially when it don't look like them? It doesn't seem fair. Anyway, these guys, Viola's in the middle. Viola's pretty distinct. And the other two, the guy on the left, I can't remember his name anyway. But they hang out in front of the chiropractor's office, and we have this gentleman for a chiropractor. I don't know why I put a gold cross on him. It just looks like he needed something to jazz up his outfit. But he is the one of the town chiropractors, and has a little office up next to the French bakery here in Vilcabamba. And when he's waiting for customers, people just stop by and hang out and do something with it. Everybody's holding a paper bag. I don't quite understand why. I have a Coke myself, but everybody else is being discreet, I suppose. Yep, that's out in front of Vladimir's, our Russian chiropractor, right next to the French bakery, where we have real French bread. Well, this is me sitting in Charlito's, and I have to do these things like a Rorschach, I think. It's probably me trying to ingratiate myself with a young European woman. And they come through here. The number of European women that come in on their own without without some strong man to protect them, or without another woman with them. Surprising. Not so much lately, but years ago we had a lot more tourists. And I met some really, really cute and interesting too. I find European people more interesting. You can call me unpatriotic if you like, but a lot of the yahoos up north. Oh, speaking of yahoos up north, this is our Texas lawyer, and you got enough time to read that. If he eventually sees this, that is exactly what he's going to say. I will see you in court, son. He wouldn't like anything more than to litigate me for slander. But he can, either peel paint or put an insomniac to sleep, whichever you prefer, when he talks about the history of law in the great state of Texas. So, he's a good guy. He brought a ton of books down here. That shows he's a strong person, too, because we generally like to have books in the electronic form because they're so darn heavy. But he brought a container of them down. Oh, well, more power to him. What do we have here? Oh, we haven't run out of this guy. I just don't know how long these clips are going to last. I was aiming at about 50 seconds each. This is definitely the last one. This is watercolor on newsprint, which is something you probably should never do because it warps. But one thing about art, you get effects that are kind of interesting that you never intended and probably couldn't duplicate. And what it's doing for those clouds is interesting. Well, I'm only running at about 12 minutes, so we might just chop it here. Thanks for coming along for the experiment. As I said, I'm testing things, and I'm sure I'll do it differently. And also, I'm working within my limited knowledge of the editor, which is CapCut, but it's working for me so far. So till the next time, when I subject you to this video and audio presentation, take care of yourself, and we'll see you. Ciao.